normally I wouldn't leave what has to be categorized as a rumor as our final topic of the day. But as I often do, about an hour or two before the show, I go to our YouTube members and I put up a poll. For some of you may not know that I do this, but almost every day, not every day, but almost every day, I take 4 of the topics that we're going to be discussing and I put them up and I ask our YouTube followers and I put a poll. What do you think should be our main headline topic today? And overwhelmingly, our viewers voted on this story. And it is interesting. Obviously, one of the big questions casting-wise that's going around in the world of film fans right now is who's going to be the new Batman? I mean, we got Matt Reeves and Robert Pattinson's Batman going on in their own isolated universe, which is awesome. But we have a new DCU, and we haven't met our DCU Batman yet. And right now, a lot of outlets like this one, like a venerable one in our space, Superhero Hype, site I like very much, by the way, is running this story. And it's like fans are confident who the DCU's Batman is after what David Cornsweet did. Now, I want to highlight, this is why I put it in the title and everything, that this is what fans are thinking. But as I said a little bit earlier in the show, where there's smoke does not necessarily mean there's fire, but there is a little bit of smoke here. And follow me with this. Let me read what Superhero Hype wrote. Fans have been curious about who will play the DCU's Batman since the new universe was announced, and Superman actor David Cornsweet recently sparked a new wave of speculation. Fans have noted that David Cornsweet started following, and I finally learned how to say his last name, Brandon Sklenar. Yeah, Brandon Sklenar on Instagram. And many now are wondering whether that is a clue that Sklenar is the DCU Batman. Many fans got excited after noticing the Superman actor David Cornsweet followed Brandon Sklenar on Instagram. The hype comes after persistent rumors about Sklenar being cast as DCU's new Batman this year in April. During an interview with Screen Rant, the It Ends With Us actor and the 1923 and Drop actor. By the way, I loved him in Drop. I loved that movie. This us commented on the rumor saying, let's keep running with that, him being Batman. That's something I've wanted to do since I was a little kid, and I've never even talked about it. It just started happening, and I was like, this is cool, and now maybe, hopefully, it happens one day. Okay. Let's be clear here. Whether it's in the world of movies or sports or whatever, I never think we should take too much out of who's following who gave a thumbs up on a social media post as being too much here. I mean, granted, when you have a professional athlete who there are rumors they're not getting along with their team, and then all of a sudden that athlete removes all references to that team from their social media, that means something. If you know, you know. But does David Cornsweet now following Brandon Sklenar mean that he's the new Batman? Obviously not. But remember when I said where there's smoke, there's not necessarily fire, but there is certainly at least a little bit of smoke. The reality is, this little nothing thing of David Cornsweet following him on social media on its own is absolutely nothing, but it does not happen in a vacuum. It doesn't come in a vacuum. And I am definitely, to be clear, not saying that Brandon Sklenar is our new Batman, but this happens in the context that there have been rumors for months from different places that Brandon Sklenar is the guy they're looking at to play Batman. One that we have never confirmed or even talked about too much around here. It's come up once or twice. But the reality is he has been the focus of a lot of fan speculation for a long time. His own interview was certainly not a denial, but gushing on the fact that I have always wanted to do this. I can't believe this is even happening. The fact that everybody kind of wants him as Batman and all that kind of stuff. And by the way, it also doesn't hurt that he would be a really good Batman. I mean, he's not my number one choice, but he's got the look, he's got the acting chops, he's got the physique, he's got it all. And he's kind of an it boy right now, especially with The Housemaid or The Handmaid or whatever, Hand Job, whatever the name of that movie is.
That's it.
Is that's the name of it?
Yeah.
It's Housemaid? That's what it is. Housemaid. That he's got that coming out right now. I mean, so again, this is one of those things where I think fandom can get a little over anxious over something as little as somebody followed somebody. But it's not ludicrous when you consider all the interview, the months of speculation, where he is positioned right now in Hollywood, the fact that he says that this is something that would be a dream of his. Then you add on that. Again, to be clear, does this mean he's going to be our new Batman? It doesn't.
Okay,
but does it justify us saying this is something we should probably keep our eye on?
I didn't realize he was like this giant.
Oh yeah, he's a big dude.
I just assumed he was like 5'10" or something from the pictures. So now I'm like, oh wow, okay, this guy's pretty big.
You know what I found out about him today?
What?
You know what his first big role was? In Britney Spears' Hit Me Baby One More Time.
I knew I remember him somewhere.
He was one of the guys, you remember the guys sitting on the bleachers, fist bumping on the he was one of those guys. I think I got the right song. But anyway, I found that out today. I learned something new about him today. There you go. Anyway, if you haven't seen him in Drop, like that's where I really got convinced because, I don't really like his character all that much in 1923, to be honest with you. But it was in Drop that I went, this guy's exudes like this very natural warmth, this very natural, I'm going to use the word charisma, but not in the same way that I would use it with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. He's just got something about him that is naturally attractive. I'm not talking about his looks, but it's naturally, you're attracted
charismatic.
to that individual. Yeah. Again, a charisma, but different than in the way I would use it for The Rock. So anyway, Rob, you see outlets like Superhero Hype and others writing about this. I've seen a lot of chatter about it. We've heard people saying his name for months in connection to the role. What's your takeaway from this?
Well, he certainly looks the part.
He really does.
He looks like a great Bruce Wayne. I mean, I could see him playing Batman. And what's really important for a Batman actor is his mouth and lower jaw, because that's what you're going to see in the suit.
He looks kind of a little bit like, if you told me he was playing Chris Evans's brother in a movie, I would totally buy it.
Yeah, I would too. He's got that look.
I even get like Joel Edgerton.
So I would.
Oh yeah, a little bit of that too.
Yeah, I would say that he definitely could be Batman. The piercing eyes and all that. I think, and look, I think that, like you said, David Cornsweet, they might have been. They might have been auditioning for the same role for a totally different movie and met for the first time. Like, hey, dude, what's up? They started following each other on Instagram. However, it's conspicuous. They had to know that this was going to happen. I mean, why doesn't somebody just say, come on, James Gunn, is Brandon Sklenar our new Batman? And to me, I looked Gunn. I mean, he's gonna be all over social media when he announces it. Somebody just call him on it, ask him.
He just won't answer it. I mean, if it's true, he won't answer.
But if it's that, then that's an answer.
There's a lot. Listen, for as much as he
because if he's not, Gunn would say no.
For every one question he answers on social media, there's 5,000 he doesn't answer.
It's true.
We just talk about the ones that he does answer, which is more than most people do. At least in his position, kind of do. But I would like to see somebody ask him just out of curiosity to see what he would say. Maybe I should give him a call.
I wouldn't I don't know how to word this correctly because I don't want to insinuate I'm correct. But if this were to play out, it would not surprise. Okay, I say it like this: it would not surprise me if his name was planted by the industry, and then the fans took off with it as if it was a fan base plant. It was not. It was a studio plant, and that when he did that interview, they said, throw it out there in the interview and let's see how the fans react to it.
Well, you know what does happen a lot, though? And James Gunn himself was talking about this. He said, what happens a lot with these, this person's name's being talked about. It's not the studio that plants it. It's that guy's agents that plant it.
Yeah. Oh, that's
sometimes actors' agents will leak stuff or slip stuff that isn't even real to outlets to get chatter and to associate their client's name with a role. And James Gunn spoke about that directly when he did. I remember the first time I heard him talk about it was in your actor, Michael Rosenbaum's podcast when James Gunn was on Inside You.
Right.
with Michael
That's
Rosenbaum.
he's great in that.
That's a great interview.
He does a great interview with everybody.
Yeah, Michael Rosenbaum is really good. His podcast is really, he's a great interviewer.
He's a terrific guy.
He makes it personal and warm while also asking the questions people want to know. Like, anyway, but in that interview he did with James Gunn, Gunn specifically talked about how all these casting rumors that go around and people think that I said it. And he said, what it is 9 times out of 10 is like some actor's agent puts those out there just so their client's names gets talked about it. And so maybe that's the situation here, or maybe it's the studio, like Jonathan's suggesting, maybe it is the studio that's leaking it to Gage. But I don't actually think studios do that very much when it comes to casting. I think I think directors know who they want in their role, because, hey, listen, if they put out a Gage to see how would people think about Heath Ledger playing the Joker, the response would not have been good.
No.
You kind of said it like Heath Ledger.
Brokeback Mountain Boy. Yeah, that was before there was Twilight Boy.
Yeah.
There was Brokeback Mountain Boy
Yeah.
as the Joker.
And before that, it was Mr. Mom Boy.
Yeah, it was. It totally was Mr. Mom Boy. Mr. Mom is Batman. I mean, so I don't know. Look, I'll say this. As we always do when it comes to these things that are not fact yet, we ask 2 questions. 1, what do we think the chances of its validity are? And 2, if it were, for the sake of the discussion, valid, what would we think about it? I'm going to say at this point, I don't think this is real, but there is a little bit of smoke, so I won't be stunned if we find out it is him. But for now, I'll say I'm going to bet it's going to be somebody else. That said, if we lived in a world where this was true, and we find out tomorrow, James Gunn hops on Threads and says, I'm thrilled to say a guy who I think is perfect to play Batman, Brandon Sklenar, is going to be our new Batman. Let's say that happens. I'm all for it. Again, not my first choice, but there's probably a good list of 15 to 20 guys that I think if they pick them, they're the right kind of guy to do it. And then I'm just going to trust the casting to do it. If it did come out tomorrow that he was playing it, not my first choice, but one that I'll be happy with and one that I'll be very satisfied with and I'll look forward to it. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of this episode, PrizePicks. Honestly, this is the best time of year for sports. We've got hockey, basketball's heating up, football pushing towards the playoffs, and big games happening every single night. And while we can sit around and argue about which team's going to win, there's one place where it just feels good to be right, and that's PrizePicks. What I love most about PrizePicks is just how simple it is. You just pick more or less on at least 2 player projections, build your lineup, and that's it. No drafts, no season-long commitments, just jump in whenever you want. And I have been having a blast making lineups while watching games, and it honestly makes every matchup way more fun to follow. One of the coolest things about it is that they've just added early payouts. If your lineup gets off to a hot start, you may have the option to cash out before the game even finishes. And I also love how flexible it is. Whether you're going for safer, flex play, or bigger power plays, PrizePicks makes everything super clear with their payout multipliers. So here's what you do. Download the PrizePicks app today and use the code Campea to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code Campea to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. It's good to be right. Rob, I ask you the same 2 questions. Likelihood that it's real, and then if it is real, if it was real, how would you feel about it?
Well, like you said, I think there's a little smoke there. You know, I think the guy's a charismatic on-screen presence. I like the fact that he is not hugely well-known. I think that he would go, the real question is, would he be a great Batman, but would he be a great Batman interacting with David Corenswet? And I think I could see them as world's finest, you know, in costume together. And I think what James Gunn is doing, I like when James Gunn, he doesn't anchor his projects in necessarily well-known actors. He likes his character actors. He likes bringing in unusual people that you haven't thought of. Like, you know, he didn't even want Chris Pratt to play Star-Lord. He tells the story about his casting director is Sarah Finn, whatever, just kept suggesting him. And he's like the chubby guy from...
Do you know where he first told that story?
To you?
On our show. Yeah, he first told that story on our show as we were talking about the first Guardians movie.
Yeah, I mean, and yet he ended up casting him because he recognized, like, they could have gone a much bigger actor to play Star-Lord. But James Gunn doesn't want that. You know, he wants to be able, I think James Gunn wants to be able to find people and put them in positions that they don't necessarily expect them to be in. And then he's got his company of players like Michael Rooker, and he's got, but I think that's what he did. He spent a long time looking for David Cornsweet, and I'll tell you, that guy nailed it. He's a great, he's a great Superman.
He really did.
And he's terrific. And when he sits down and says Miss Lane when they're going to do the interview, I'm like, that's Superman. That voice is coming, and you look at him and like how when he sits down and cry, I'm like, that dude is Superman 100%.
By the way, side note, you know Total Film Magazine?
Yeah.
Do you know that they just listed Superman as the #1 film of the year?
Yeah, I saw.
Now, I love Superman. I love Superman. It's not my #1 film of the year, but Total Film just put out their top 10 films of the year list, and they listed Superman as the #1 film of the year. Good for them. It's all subjective.
That's good.
Anyway.
But look, I think it's a possibility. I'll just say this. It wouldn't surprise me. And I think it's a good choice. I think it'll be announced when it's going to be announced, but I do think this. They already know who their Batman is. They just haven't announced it yet.
Oh, I agree with you. I believe they've known who their Batman is for a
long
while.
time.
Yeah, I think they've known who they've got circled for a while. It's just a matter of waiting. Remember, when Ben Affleck was announced as Batman, we later found out he had actually accepted the role 6 months prior to that.
Yeah.
So I think they've got it. We just don't know who it is yet. Anyway, guys, question is for you. A lot of chatter going around now. A lot of people believe that Brandon Sklenar is now our Batman, not based on very reliable evidence, but that's the chatter, and it's been chatter that's been around for a long time. Do you buy it? But maybe even more importantly, just assume for a second that it was true. How would you feel about it? I like it personally, even though I have my doubts about its validity. Whatever you guys think about all this, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.